Welcome back, our dear viewers, as we are starting a new year, the year 2023. Many public health and infectious disease experts predict that monitoring for the new coronavirus variant will be an increasingly important part of the COVID-19 mitigation efforts, and some are turning their attention to the surge cases in China. To shed more light on that, we are very much delighted to be joined here in the studio by Dr. Yasmin Abu Zeid, pharmaceutics and industrial planning of pharmacy professor and director of the Nanotechnology Center at Helwan University. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, dear.
Dr. Yasmin, can you shed light about the new subvariant which we are hearing about recently? What's the difference between this subvariant and the previous variant that occurred for the coronavirus or the COVID-19?
Okay, let me first give like a brief about the subtype now. So it's like a subtype of Omicron virus. So Omicron, we have 5 strains from BA1 to BA5, and the one which is common now at China, or is spreading now at China, is BF7. It's actually a subtype of BA5 of Omicron.
Yes.
So it's generally a strain of Omicron viruses, but the main differences here is that it has like high spreading rate compared to the normal
previous Omicron.
Yeah. So for Omicron, just to exemplify the things or simplify the things, so for Omicron, infected person can infect around 18 persons, normal healthy persons.
The normal Omicron?
Yeah, the first one, which actually recognized at the beginning of 2022. But now the substrain of Omicron, which is BF7, the infected person can infect 36 persons.
Oh,
that's why it has like a massive spreading rate now.
What about the symptoms? What are the symptoms of the previous Omicron and the new subvariant?
So it both actually have similar symptoms. So they affect only the upper respiratory system, which is nose congestion. You can have like a fever, flu. So both of them have the same symptoms.
It's more of a flu-like symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's different from the previous Delta variant that first occurred.
Yeah, the Delta variant actually was more dangerous because it affected the lower respiratory system, and it can prolong it actually to fibrosis, lung fibrosis. That's why we can find like many people died from Delta virus. But the virus actually currently now is spreading in China. It's only affecting the upper respiratory system, so it is not that dangerous unless in rare situation.
Yes. From a pharmaceutical perspective, Dr. Yasmin, how dangerous is the new mutation compared to the few previous mutants?
So, the virus normally, when it started with the Delta variant, it was very dangerous, and by time it started to mutate, and the new variant itself become moderate in severity. But the problem with the virus now, although it's moderate in severity, but it can escape the immune system. So the immune system can't recognize it. That's why it has large spreading rate. Also due to the mutation, this specific mutation happened in the virus, it starts to infect the cells easily. So that's why also related to its spreading rate. So it has a massive spreading rate, and at the same time, when it actually exposed to the immune system couldn't recognize it. So
couldn't
recognize it due to the mutation in the virus. So that's why it's a little bit different than the other variants.
Yes, as a professional here, Dr. Yasmin, how this subvariant are mutating and how do they occur, and why is it developing this way?
It's normally for any virus to mutate because it's related to the replication of the virus itself. So when the virus starts to enter into the human body, it starts to adhere or merge with the DNA or genetic material of the human, and by time, due to its replication, it starts to mutate, changing its genetic mapping. So that's actually why the virus normally mutates. So it's a normal inhabitant issue related to the virus replication, but it depends on the mutation itself. So if the mutation happen in certain genetic area which actually facilitate its infection or spreading, so that's why become affected many people, or many people can be affected from the virus itself. But if it's, but generally, when it's mutated, its severity or its dangerous become a little bit less than the original one.
Yes. What are the symptoms here of this new mutant?
It's similar as Omicron, so it has flu-like symptoms, congestion, sore throat, fever, the normal symptoms which can recognize it in any coronavirus
It doesn't
infection.
attack the respiratory, the
The
lower
lower
respiratory.
respiratory system, no, it doesn't attack it, unless in rare situations. So let's say if the people are very elderly or young, or
Yes.
they are having or suffering from chronic disease like hypertension, diabetes, or any other diseases. So at this situation, the immune system might not be able to contain the virus, and it start to actually spreading to the lower respiratory system and causing some fatal issues in the respiratory system, and this might lead to death. But until now, according to the data globally announced from China or even from states, this rate is still not that worrying. So according to the population in China, because population in China, they are billions.
Yes.
So yeah, so the number of people died. Normally they announce that around 5,000 persons died every day. But in comparison to the number of millions of people infected daily, so it's not a big percentage.
Yes. Has the Chinese mutant been appearing in Egypt or reported in Egypt so far?
No. According to the Ministry of Health here, until now, BF7 didn't appear in Egypt. Thanks God.
But the COVID-19 is still existing in Egypt, the
Yeah.
Omicron variant, and some cases of Delta maybe, or what's the case here?
So Delta virus, I don't think that it's still around in Egypt, because Delta virus, a Delta variant, always associated with lower respiratory infection, and this is initiate entering to intensive care unit with a lower probability of the people to recover. And according to the death rate announced from the Ministry of Health, so actually the death rate in Egypt is very, very, very few regarding to COVID-19.
Yes.
So it means that the variant which is common now in Egypt is
the
Omicron.
Yeah. What are the precautionary measures that it should be followed to reduce the severity of the spread of the Omicron or the new mutant if it comes?
So I guess the first thing we need to do is that we need, according at the boundary of the country, so let's say at airport or any other entry sites for any people who is coming out, travelers who are coming from abroad, so they have to be checked, they have to be quarantined as well, because who knows, because before actually the virus come to Egypt or any other country, so actually travelers from country to another. So the first thing is that we need to double check, do specimen checking for the variant itself in the blood or even in respiratory system by taking swabbing to check that the person who's coming or entering to the Egypt is virus free. And then we have to go back to the quarantine, which is for 14 days.
I do believe that on the international levels now, all the quarantines do not exist, or the travel restrictions, or the restrictions for the COVID do not exist anymore.
Yeah, so over the last 2 years, actually the quarantine and all this restriction disappeared worldwide. But now with the appearance of the new variant in China, so states, European regions, India, Japan, they start to turn back to the same restrictions. Just to make sure that the country, each country wouldn't be affected from the new strain.
Do we expect to have this new variant of the Omicron in Egypt?
Yeah, any country, honestly, any country is expected actually to get this this new strain, because similar to what's happened before. So before the virus was originated in Wuhan, in China, and by traveling people from country to another, so it spread over all the world. So the main issues now, the people want to follow, in addition to restriction on airports and this stuff, so they have to wear masks again, keep social distance, try to eat healthy diets, and that's
Yes, so
And also following
yes, yes,
vaccine,
please.
they need to take vaccines, boosting shot from the
Yes, I
vaccines
was
as well.
going to ask this question. Uh, do we have to continue taking the vaccine of the COVID-19, or just the normal flu shots could be a protection? What's recommendation here, Dr. Yasmin?
So first, regarding to the vaccine related to COVID-19, all people needs to take the vaccines again. So even if the person had like 2 doses or 3 doses, they have to keep taking boosting doses. As far as the last dose was taken like 6 months ago. So if you pass 6 months from your last shot, so you have to return back getting a new shot or boosting shot from the vaccine. This is for adult, normal adult, but for elderly people, they have to take it after 3 months. So each 3 months from taking the boosting dose, they have to take it again, just to make sure that the immune system, because it actually boosts the efficiency of immune system to combat or to fight the virus infections.
Do you recommend also people, as we are in the winter season, to take the normal flu vaccines, or it's not recommended anymore? Or?
It's recommended because we need to differentiate between two things. So the vaccines wouldn't actually prevent people from getting infected. But
it lowers the
yeah,
symptoms
it lowers the
and
symptoms
the
because
severity of.
because it's boosting the immune system. So the vaccine's rule is to boost your immune system, potentiate it. So when any person get infected, the symptoms wouldn't be that severe, so they can be easily covered from treatment by getting treatment at home. So they didn't need to go to hospital and undergo certain specific care like intensive care unit or so.
Doctor, also we have to talk here about the winter and the symptoms of the flu or the COVID-19, and how we can somehow protect ourselves from catching flu or from catching COVID. So what's your recommendation here in order to increase our immunity?
So first, we need to take a boosting dose from the vaccine. Second, we need to keep wearing masks again, keep social distance, be away from crowdness. So we have to go back, return to every restrictions that happened before in order to avoid this massive blockage which happened in COVID-19, because the economy now, as you know, globally is affected from the incidence of COVID-19, besides wars all over the world. So in order to avoid more damage to the economy worldwide, we have to go back to these restrictions, because if blockage happen, I don't think that it will be good for any country.
Yes, and if we are talking here about the diet that we should be following in order to try to boost our immunity and to protect ourselves even from the normal flu, what's your recommendation for the proper diet and the proper vitamins for the different segments of age?
So, so for diet, every person have to intake actually vegetable enriched diet, fruits, a lot of fluids. They have to take multivitamins because vitamins and minerals present in multivitamins or even vegetables and fruits. Actually, the rules is to boost your immune system. So when you are subjected to infection, any type of infection, not particularly the virus, so you can easily recover.
And do you believe that people should consume more citrus, more vegetables?
A lot of vitamin C and zinc.
Oh, in what type of fruits or vegetables or what?
Any types. So any types. So for citrus, yeah, it's enriched in vitamin C. But I guess when you take like a tablet or a sachet with a powder containing vitamin C, one sachet can contain up to 1 gram of vitamin C. So you need to eat a massive amount of citrus to actually to return or to intake this weight of vitamin C. So in order to make sure that your body is completely saturated or intake its sufficient amount of vitamins and minerals, it's easy to take like 1 tablet or 1 capsules of multivitamins. So it can assure your body the vitamins and minerals which are sufficient to boost the immune system against getting infection. Or
yes, and as we are having the school and the universities working these days, and maybe even the holidays are over. So what's your recommendation here for the parents in order to try to protect their children while they are in school or university?
So let's be realistic. If the infection actually happens, so it means that no actual children will go to the schools. Because if you remember when respiratory syncytial virus appeared during the few last months, so the children got infected and nothing actually stopped them from getting infection unless they are isolated at home. Because one infected child actually can infect the whole children in the class. So the only way for infected person just to be isolated at home, getting medical treatment, and that's it. But for but if we go through the situation which is similar to the pandemic which happened before, so I guess that actually blockage and lockage should appear again.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Yasmin Abu Zeid, Professor of Pharmaceutics and Industrial Pharmacy, Director of the Nanotechnology Center at Helwan University. Thank you so much for being our guest for today, and have a very happy New Year. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye-bye.
Our dear viewers, that was our wrap-up about the new coronavirus or COVID-19 variant which occurred in China, and we are advising, of course, all our dear viewers to try to stay by not being in the crowded places, or try to increase their immunity as much as they can. Our dear viewers, now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be having a new segment with my dear colleague Amal Mukhtar about the green coffin which is back from the United States.